Shakur Stevenson might just have to forget about the money and make the fight happen with Zepeda. Obviously, a lot of boxing fans are on Shakur Stevenson's case right now because Oscar De La Hoya tweeted at Shakur saying Shakur pulled out of the Zepeda fight after all that talking he was doing. He ended up pulling out of the fight. And Shakur Stevenson replied, and he said that I was promised money that wasn't on the table once the offer was sent. The contracts showed me money that wasn't agreed upon. You know, I expected more, I was promised more, and that's not what I got, so I pulled out. And Shakur Stevenson, you know, then followed up by saying, I really want to fight. I want this fight so bad because I'm on another level, and I want to show it. But if you really want to show that you're on another level, and if you really believe you're on another level, why not just take the fight, even if you aren't making as much money as you thought you were? Because I understand it's about the money, and I understand that you got to feed your family, put food on the table and everything like that, and you're a prize fighter, or you're supposed to be fighting for a prize, and you know, I understand all of that. I get it. That's every boxer, right? They're all doing it for their livelihood. But if you're not getting, you know, $100,000, I don't want to hear it, you know, because ultimately Shakur needs these kinds of fights. He needs fighters like Zepeda to ultimately propel him into superstardom. These are the kinds of fights where I don't think anybody's expecting Shakur to lose to Zepeda. I think it's an exciting fight, but I think it's similar to that Oscar Valdez situation where he's not going to be able to deal with Shakur. Shakur is going to break him mentally, and Shakur is going to outclass Zepeda. So why not just take this fight and use it to showcase your skills? And honestly, you know, I know Shakur got that Josh Padley stoppage, but you look at Josh Padley after the fight, you guys got to remember this was a short and late notice opponent, and he still, you know, looked fine after the fight. It wasn't like Josh Padley was beat up. Yeah, he got stopped, but you look at his face, he was clean. You look at the rest of his body, was, you know, unmarked, you know. So how am I supposed to, you know, look at Shakur Stevenson and say, yeah, pay that superstar? Because honestly, he's not a superstar yet. You know, people know Shakur. Everybody in the boxing world knows how good he is, how talented he is, and how high his IQ is within that boxing ring. But when it comes to, you know, putting butts in seats, Shakur doesn't do that. So, you know, how is he supposed to make a lot of money? How can he make it about money if you're not willing to do the things that fans want to see? And that includes, you know, get stoppage wins. You know, maybe that's just not the way he fights. Actually, not maybe. That isn't the way Shakur operates. Shakur operates on the mindset of get the win by any means necessary, which is great if you want to become a champion. But becoming a champion and becoming a pay-per-view star that makes millions of dollars are two different things. You can be both, but you have to be able to put on the performances that the people want to see, or, you know, talk the talk like Floyd was doing, and then get the win by any means necessary. If you can't do both, you know, you're not going to become that pay-per-view champion. You could be a pay-per-view, you know, somewhat of a star, but you're not going to be the number one. You know, Tank, Canelo, Ryan Garcia, these guys sell pay-per-views. Even Devin Haney, you could say all you want about Devin and how he's not mentally there, how he's mentally weak. But if you look at it, he gave the fans a fight that they wanted to see. You know, for a long time, Devin was seen as that track star. He was seen as the boring fighter. But then you saw him against Ryan Garcia. He gave the fans what they wanted. Yeah, it wasn't the outcome that he expected or the outcome that Devin Haney desired. But look, I'm pretty sure he's going to be a huge draw now. Now he's going to be I still think he's a pay-per-view star. And you look at Shakur Stevenson, he's not there yet. Even though he's winning, I'm sure Devin Haney's probably making more money than him because Devin is still a known name because he's taken the risk. He's been able to fight guys like Lomachenko. He's been able to fight guys like Ryan Garcia. And, you know, he's in that conversation for some of the most, you know, talked about fighters in the sport right now. And, you know, as a result, he gets compensated for that. So for Shakur Stevenson, yeah, we know that you're not the knockout artist that Tank is. We also know that you're talented as well, but you got to put on some more exciting performances, or else, you know, you can't talk about or complain about not getting paid enough, not getting the money that you were promised because you're not a pay-per-view star. Yeah, you win, but if you're not willing to do the things that, you know, the fans want to see, you're not willing to do what it takes to make yourself a draw. And, you know, sometimes, like I say, winning isn't enough anymore. You know, when it comes to the money, winning isn't enough. You got to be a superstar. People have to care about watching you fight. They want to have to, you know, spend their money to watch you fight. Otherwise, you're just going to be a champion. And that's great. That's great in the sport of boxing. That's all that should matter. But if you're talking about money, winning's not enough in today's era of boxing. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys on the next Naz Boxing video. Peace.